name is Donna Feazell. This is Frankie King, and you are watching Living on the Edge with Frankie and Donna. Thank you so much for watching. Frankie, how was your day today?
It was good.
Don't ask. She having those looks like, don't ask.
It's been pretty hectic lately. It's getting better.
Well, look, we're in for a great show today, and we're going to be talking with Barbara Eubanks. And Barbara is one of my friends, and I'm so proud to have her as a friend. If I'm a little down, I call this gal right here, and she puts me right back on the straight and narrow. But you are a author of books and a humorist.
Absolutely.
Is that the right word, a humorist?
Yes, I'm a Christian humorist.
Christian.
Christian's first word.
Uh-huh.
And most of my humors, most of my humor would fit under the Christian format.
Most of it. We'll keep it clean. And then you also are a speaker.
Yes. I grew up in church. I didn't marry a preacher, but he turned out to be one after we married.
You did that to him?
Yeah, I kept him on his knees a lot.
There you go.
But anyway, so I spend a lot of my time in church, and I find humor wherever I am. And so, I found humor in church. And people do silly things. They do stupid things at church. They say the wrong thing all the time.
You've been hanging around with me that long.
Yes, I've been.
She's followed me for years.
And then I laugh at myself because I'm usually the source of the humor. But anyway, I love what I do. I have 3 humorous devotional books where in each of them I have anecdotes of funny things that have happened in church or spiritually related incidents, and then they segue into short devotions, and you have a humor and devotion at the same time. So, after I wrote my first one, I started.
What was your first book?
The first one was Humorous Happenings in Holy Places. And so I started getting calls and said, would you come and talk about those funny things that are in your book? I said, well, I'd love to. So before I knew it, I had a new career. That first book came out in December 2004, and I was already scheduled to retire in May of 2005. So I don't think I retired. I think I just refired. And I just
That's a good way of putting it.
I keep on trucking, so I speak quite a few times a year, and then my writing just keeps on going, and I love it.
Yeah, I mean, I love it too. I can't put your books down. Now, this one is Laughing with the Lord.
Yes.
And so what's this book about?
Well, it's the same thing as the first one, except it's different stories. This cover illustrates one of the stories. You know, baptisms are a very reverent type service. Normally, should be things happen. And this lady never had been to church a lot, but she accepted Christ and wanted to be baptized. And the pastor didn't know quite what to do with her when she stepped down into the baptistry, because she didn't want to get her hair wet. And
Is this an autobiography?
And she had put on a shower cap.
I can understand that.
Well, you know, in Baptist churches, sometimes they cut corners. They just do, you know. And they built that new baptistry, but they had not actually put in the permanent steps, so they had put in some little wooden steps that were not attached. And some wise Baptist deacon, decided he would fix something where the water wouldn't run over when they were filling the baptistry. So he put a commode float to keep the water from overflowing when they filled the baptistry. I know the preacher sort of looked askance at the woman when she came in with her shower cap on, but he was having to hold those temporary steps down with one foot, baptize her, holding that down, trying to hold her up, and when he took her back and brought her back up, he got her head hung under the commode float. And by that time her shower cap had filled up with water, and of course it tore holes in it, and it just sprayed all over the place. Now you had to laugh, didn't you?
Yes, I did.
I mean, It doesn't matter how serious the service is. When somebody does something funny, you just have to laugh.
You can't. You can't help it. But it cuts away the seriousness of everything. You got to have a balance, right?
Yeah, you have to have a balance, and I do believe in reverence. I
wouldn't know that.
but I do. There are times that, like my husband has told me a few times, Barbara, everything's not funny.
And I think too, the fact that you're not supposed to laugh
That makes it worse.
that most
Oh yes.
harder to not laugh.
Have you ever just sat on a pew and
Yes, I have many times, shaking the pew in front of me.
Oh, I've done it many times, and usually I burst out into laughter, and that gives other people permission.
Yeah, other people,
It
the
does.
preacher's wife's laughing, so it's okay.
Until they get to know me, they
And they just
Barbara.
shake their head.
Let's talk about a couple more of your books. How
Okay.
many have you written? This is a series.
Of the novels,
Uh-huh.
yes, these two,
These two are series.
same characters. It's they have a lot of crisis in their life. Let's see, this was the first one, and then this was the
That
second.
looks like a
Their
romance
camera
novel.
probably
It
can't
does.
see
That
this,
was
but
not
it-
that was not my suggestion for the cover.
Sure it wasn't.
Pretty sassy.
But it looks like a Harlequin romance, doesn't
Yeah,
it?
it does.
But and there's some romance in it. There's some adultery in it, and there's some unholy things in it. But that's life. But God forgives.
That's right.
Well, it's
yeah.
part of the Bible.
Oh,
It's all
absolutely.
throughout the
Think
Bible.
about David. We hold David up to be such a Bible hero, and he was.
But he was not perfect.
He made some
But
mistakes.
he made up some big ones.
Mhm.
I mean, the big ones like murder, adultery.
Right, they killed the guy to get rid of him. Had him set out on the front line in the war.
And I think, if we're keeping score, that's got to be worse than adultery, to murder somebody,
Uh-huh.
to give their wife. But
Oh, that was
thank
horrible.
God he has redemption.
Oh yes, and I love David's writings. I love the Psalm. It's the most beautiful poetry you can ever
It
read.
is.
And I used the Psalms a lot when I was teaching high school about figurative language.
Well, I was going to ask what your occupation was
I
before
taught-
you retired.
This is the
She's
girl.
never going to retire.
This is the girl that cried every day she went to school until she was in the 3rd grade, and cried just about every day that year. And I think I cried every year when I had to start back to school, even when I was teaching a mother of 3. I don't know, there was something I just didn't want to go, but once I got there, I enjoyed it. But I taught for 35 years high school English, and like I said, I retired in '05, and from teaching.
And no doubt that helps with your writing.
Well, it has. That was not my first choice. But teaching was not my first choice.
Yeah.
I wanted to be a nurse.
Oh.
But when I started looking at the curriculum, I could get morning classes, getting my teacher education, and the nursing program went all day long. And I had 3 little toddlers at the time. And like I told my husband, that school over there, Sanford University, has a lot of students, but my boys have one mother. And I'm a mother first and a student second. So God puts circumstances in our path to guide us, because we're too dumb to just listen to Him and follow.
Absolutely.
I don't listen well.
I don't. Does anybody?
But he does. He closes some doors and He opens others. And I think if we're willing to do His will, and we're totally submitted to Him, or committed to Him, then He'll block things that we don't need, and He'll direct us another path. And He's done that for me many times. I say, dummy, I'm trying to tell you something, just listen. But now I can look back and I can see how one thing prepares you for something else. And also, even though I believe in rendering unto Caesar the things that are Caesar's, and unto God the things that are God, I try not to be illegal in what I did, but I considered my classroom a mission field. And I felt like that I needed to, by example, show them laughter, show them love. And now if you talk to some of my former students, they say, well, she left me pretty good with that paddle.
Well, it's discipline.
Okay,
And
yeah,
I wish we
yeah.
had that now in school, because I'm saying that because I'm
Yeah.
not in school.
Yeah.
But there was a discipline. I mean, you knew there were
Well,
consequences to when you
yes.
did something wrong.
And that, I didn't do a lot of paddling, but I have in my past. And I said, this may not help you a bit, but I think it'll help me. But anyway, I get to talk with some of my former students quite often, and it's funny what they remember.
So what do they remember most about you?
Oh dear, I can't tell some of it.
You don't.
Most of them remember their favorite writing assignment. Now, I was big on teaching writing. I guess that was my forte.
That's it.
And I taught everything 7th through 12th in my career. And I think every class I had different requirements for the assignment, but I did the same assignment, and I called it my 2-foot world. And I took them outside. I tried to find a location where it was away from a highway or a road, and where they could spread out and have their own little section. And I told them to imagine the 2 feet around them as being their world. And I said, I want a descriptive paper describing what you see, what you hear, and what you feel. And I said, your world is from the ground to the sky. And I told them to disregard any sounds of somebody driving on the highway, if they could hear that, or and I said, one thing you're not to hear is somebody else talking, because I take this seriously and I want you to. And they did. And the most beautiful set of papers would come from that. And of course I've required more in-depth things from the older students, but they had to include sensory details, you know, and figurative language and this sort of thing. And they were just really into that assignment. And different students will come up to me and say, I still have my 2-foot world paper.
Oh.
And so they do remember that.
Absolutely. Now, you've written books. Now, you also write for, this is Christian Magazine. This is the Aniston-Gadsden Christian Family. So you write articles in this as well.
I have a monthly column, Holy Humor it's called.
It would be Holy Humor.
And so people say, well, how do you keep finding things to write month after month? I said, people keep doing stupid things. And so I always...
More so now than ever.
Oh, yeah.
So are we regressing? Do you think we're regressing?
Be careful what you do around me, because I know
True. She's holding it against me, I know.
And that's what a friend of mine told me. He told I had told a story about a skunk incident, and we were playing canasta, and he's hard of hearing, and he's a very intelligent man, but he gets words mixed up. He's never said library in his life. He always calls it library.
Library.
And that's what he hears. And so he always has a one-upman's story, and he had a story about a skunk. And he said, this friend of mine went outside and got sprayed with a skunk. And he said the first thing he thought to do was to run in the house. And he ran in the house with those skunky clothes on and, you know, stripped out of them, got a bath and all that. But he brought that beautiful fragrance all through the house.
Beautiful fragrance.
And he said he had to burn incest for a month to get
What?
I guess.
He meant incest.
Incense.
And of course we all laughed when he said incest instead of incense. And
He probably didn't know, he didn't know what you were laughing
yeah,
at.
well, he looked at me, he said, that better not show up in the
Yeah.
book.
Well, it's about to show on the show now.
I said, okay. But it
No
did
names were used.
Right.
It did
But
show.
what are his initials? Are you free to say that?
DG.
Oh!
And he has been superintendent of education.
Oh, my goodness.
And all these things.
Oh,
I
mercy.
mean, he's got all the credentials, but he's like the rest of us. He just messes up
Right.
sometimes.
I do it often. I do it every day, 50 times a day.
Now, my husband was just, he was the dude in our family. He always looked polished and, you know, everything was starched and just, he looked the part.
Well, now you look like the
And,
lady.
And he had good use of the English language and usually said everything just right.
Mm-hmm.
But we had one of these revivals where you had a different preacher every night.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't keep from comparing a little bit. And we got in the car after Phil Hoskins had preached. And I don't know if you know him or not, but he's a great, great preacher. And Steve said, you know, he says, I really like that Phil Hoskins. He says, I like his preaching style. He says, I like his countenance in the pulpit. And I started to laugh. I said, yes, he did not wet his pants all the time he was up there. He made countenance, but it came out wrong.
I was
So,
hoping
you know,
maybe you had mispronounced it and I was going to let it go.
No. So I mean, I always,
The English language.
he always had something to laugh at me about. So you know, if I ever got an opportunity, I did.
So did you ever get looks from the pulpit from your husband because you were tickled about something?
Oh,
Did he
yes.
ever just look at you like one of those looks? Did you get the look
I got the look.
quite often?
Well, I was in the choir, so I was behind him most of the time, but I could stir up a disturbance there. One time a fly kept circling around his head, and he was making the announcements, and I thought that thing's going to fly in his mouth when he starts preaching, and that's going to really mess up things. So the next time it makes a trip through this choir loft, I'm going to take care of it. So I had my hand just primed just like that, and I was going to snatch it out of the air. Well, sure enough, that old sucker flew back by, and when I did this, I caught the edge of my glasses. They hit the girl standing next to me. She thought I'd slapped her, and they ricocheted to the back row of the choir. And so by that time, everybody, you know. And when Steve got up, he says, I'm not exactly sure what just occurred behind me, but for some reason, I think my wife must have been involved.
Of course.
And sometimes I got blanked when I was being a good girl.
I bet that was never happening. For some reason, I think that probably, maybe once, maybe. Now, let's talk a little bit about this magazine.
Okay.
You've written an article about a trip
Yes.
you recently.
I
You want to
have.
talk about that?
Oh, I got back from the Holy Land 2 weeks ago.
Oh, that had been
And-
an awesome trip.
Oh, it was.
You've been there many times, though, haven't you?
This was my third trip,
Okay.
and I must say it was my hardest. It probably was the best, but I'm not 16 anymore. I know you,
17.
I know you can't tell that.
17.
Everything from my waist down has hurt since we got back. Somebody had a Fitbit. I want one of those things, but I don't have it. You know, they measure your miles, they measure everything.
Okay, kids, if you're listening, that's what
Yes,
you want
I
your
want a
wrist.
Fitbit. But they said she measured and she said we walked 77 miles while we were there. And I kid
That'd
you
be a
not.
great way to lose weight.
Well, can you still see me, hon?
Not too much.
But everything was either upstairs or downstairs, or up hills or down hills.
Oh.
It was hard, I'm telling you. And things you didn't even think about when you were young. I mean, you didn't think about steps, you just
go
did
running
them.
up steps.
But I paid for it since I got back. Everything I've got aches.
She's normally funnier than this.
I thought you were going to have to pull me up off the toilet when they use your restroom a while ago. I have no
I was on
strength.
standby.
I have no strength and no power left in my legs. So do you think that's something I need to tell the doctor when I go
I think
to
you need to
have a
tell him.
checkup?
Yes,
That,
I
you know,
do.
it's interfering with my lifestyle.
Yeah,
I'm
just tell
having
him.
trouble getting up and down at church. I'm having trouble getting up off the toilet. I mean, you know.
I'm sure he'll love that visual.
Well,
Mention that one.
Yeah, I will. I'll have, because that's important. It's
Yeah,
important.
Are you
is.
sure it's that, or is it the Alabama humidity and getting the bones? Because I've got the same thing.
Oh, I thought you meant humidity on the commode. I couldn't figure out where you were going with that one. Oh, I don't know what it is, but hon, I'm ready for it to be cured.
Well, the chiropractor told me a hint, because I'm having the same problem. She said, when you get up, push with your heels.
Push with my heels.
Right. Dig your heels in.
Well,
So, Barbara.
I'll try that.
I've always heard dig your heels into
Yeah.
things.
But I pull my shoes off, because if I've got any, somebody, you know, women talk to each other in the bathroom. I don't think
Oh, yeah,
men
we
do
stay
that.
for hours.
Yeah. Would you get those shoes? Where'd
Where'd you get those?
Yeah.
I love that handbag.
Yeah, we'll talk about men act like them.
How did you put your eyeliner on? Little things like that, right?
Yeah, well, not in the other style, but it may be out.
But you see,
yeah,
under the
I
handbag.
think so, yeah.
Oh, those pants are gorgeous.
Yeah, and a lady at church said that. She said, "Why have you pulled your shoes off?" I said, "So I can get up off this potty." So one time, I'll have to tell you this. We went to a Phil Waldrop conference with some friends of ours one time, and my motto is never pass up a bathroom. You never know when you might need one.
Right.
So it was a beautiful fall day, the air, crisp air, the leaves were, so gorgeous with their vibrant colors, and the services had been just absolutely inspiring. And we started in, and I told them, I said, y'all go ahead and sit down there if we've been sitting, but I'm going to go to the bathroom or restroom before I come in. And they said, okay. And I sing sometimes when I don't even know I'm singing. And I was singing, this is the day that the Lord has made, that the Lord has made. I will rejoice and be glad in it, and be glad in it. Da-da-da. And in a minute,
Keep going.
in a minute, I heard a little voice next to me singing with me. This is the day that, and then on down the line, a little big row of potties. And before I left, we had bathroom choir. Everybody in
Were they
that.
singing parts and everything?
Yes, and we even had some sound effects.
You should have done row, row, row your boat.
We had some tinkling, and we had some bass drums.
And other sounds.
But I just thought, joy is contagious.
Yes.
And even if you're in a bathroom.
And women travel in packs.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And I was telling my husband about meeting somebody in the restroom and the conversation with him. He said, Barbara, men wouldn't do that. He said, we're going to need to acknowledge each other.
That's why they have these very short lines. We have long lines. Absolutely. There's about 5 minutes left in this segment. So let's talk with the folks. I mean, you speak at events.
Yes.
So how can folks get in contact with you?
They can call me. I don't care if you have my phone number. It's 256-572. You got that? 256-572-3932.
Just call me. 256-659-4319. I'll make sure
If
she
we
knows.
make it a jingle, you can remember it. What is it again?
256-572-3932.
There you go.
And you can email me at barbara@eubanks.com. And you can look me up on my website and message me from there. It's www.barbaraeubanks.com. Now, all that's hard, isn't it?
That's not too hard at all.
But now, Barbara is B-A-R-B-A-R-A. Eubanks is E-U-B-A-N-K-S.
Well, let me ask you a question. You're an English teacher.
All right.
And, when people write things on Facebook sometimes, they'll say, like, I want to go to the mall, too. Instead of spelling it T-O-O, it'll be T-O.
T-O.
Does that drive you crazy?
It does, but I do it too. Sometimes I make mistakes too.
I never thought you ever made a mistake.
Oh, I know you did. Don't
I'm
lie.
the biggest fan.
Don't lie
the
here.
ceiling's about to fall in on us.
And lately, the first letter and words have not wanted to type, and I'll have to go back and edit and all that good stuff.
Spell check, though.
And of
That
course,
helps.
my former students love to find my errors. They love to find
course
my
they
errors,
do.
and they will call my attention to
You
them.
have to keep up that image.
But you have great memories of teaching at school.
Oh yes, I do.
And that was preparing you
And
for this.
it was. I didn't know it at the time, but it was. And of course, I taught them some speech, and I didn't realize that was going to be preparing me for my speaking
Everything you do
events.
prepares you for something
Yeah,
better.
God knows our future. He knows everything about us, and I just love that.
That's why I depend on him because, think about this. Sometimes you will pray for something and it doesn't happen. You think, well, God, you're just beating up on me. You don't like me anymore. You get whiny, sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
And then later on you find out that would have been a mistake had God answered that prayer.
Well, my husband died 3 years ago, and we had prayed, Lord, if it be your will, heal him here. But if not, heal him in heaven. And then we always said, not my will, but thine be done. And you better not pray that if you don't mean it. And so he did take him ahead of me. And, I'm not happy about it, but I've been blessed immeasurably because the Holy Comforter has been right there with me. And when you think of that song, 10,000 years, even though 56 years seems like a short time here.
Well, was this planned, or did this just kind of happen to you?
It kind of happened.
It kind of happened.
This one, it's about a pastor that has a moral failing, and we had experienced that with a friend. This is not about him. I don't care what people say. It's not about him. But it was a catharsis for me
It
to
was an
sort of work
issue.
through that. I was trying to think why did it happen.
Because it happens and people need to
And
know that there is forgiveness.
Yes. And then I left it sort of open-ended, and everybody that had read this one kept digging for the follow-up, and so I did this one.
So you're going to do another follow-up, something in the making right now?
No,
Not yet.
no, not for these.
But
I
for
think
something
I
else.
think that's through. I'm working on another devotional book, a more serious one. Fear Not devotional book.
Well, thank you so much for watching. It's been a fun show. It always is. I love Barbara, and we've been on several interviews
Oh,
together.
yes,
I
I'm
was
so
on
glad I
another
got her
show.
number
Oh
now.
my
I've
goodness!
been calling her all the time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well,
I'll tell you
listen,
what.
I never run out of material.
No, she doesn't.
I do
I
talk.
can give you a lot of material.
Good. I'm always ready for it.
So thank you so much for watching and listening to Living on the Edge with Donna and Frankie. Frankie, awesome girl. Awesome girl. Woman power. Okay. Again, thank you so much. And next show is going to be in just about another week. We'll keep you posted on that as well. Like us on YouTube. Right? Okay. Bye.
Why don't you just slip away? If you like to find a way, tomorrow